So sometimes during the course of your destination, you may find yourself running short on time, running out of sunlight, and a little tired. What you do then is just find a spot off to the side of the road behind the bushes where you don't think it's on private property, and lay yourself down a little behind these bushes right here, about 60 feet off the road. And there's a barbed wire fence right here. That worked. It kept all my stuff over here out of view. I don't think they could even see my tarp, but I'll show you how I set that up. Just laid my bike down over here in the bushes. I hooked onto my brake lever there on one end of the tarp, ran it all the way over to here, and a 20-foot piece of paracord tied off here around that fence post. Continued that same piece of paracord back to a middle strap to give me some clearance, and ran it up to a tree to hold it up. And then I got one peg over there in that corner, one peg over there and that corner, and it's only about 2 foot off the ground, but it was enough for me to get up under there. My little bivvy system that I made. And yeah, so I had a little breakfast, and I'm getting ready to pack up and get up on out of here. Catch you later. So here we go. This is a nice little part of the countryside here, a small town, and that's what you like to see. It's a small town. Yeah, here we go. Made it. Okay, so I climbed up the hill a little further looking for a better spot to camp, and it had to be level. That's very important, you know. If you don't have level ground to lay down on, one little degree of a slide is enough to ruin your whole night, so that's very important. The most level I could find is this area right here, and right about here it's kind of almost a ledge, but it still has a little bit of a tilt, so I'm gonna have to make some adjustments right here to the ground. Yeah, supposed to get some cold weather tonight, 30 degrees, possible snow, rain kind of thing, sleet. So this is the main objective of the day, is to get a level sleeping place on the side of this hill, and a tarp. This is about a 60-degree grade. I'm looking down right here, and I'm about 100 foot up from the bottom of the valley. I had pushed that bike, all that gear on it up there, as well as rode 32 miles out here just to get here. So yeah, so I'm gonna get busy. Thanks for tuning in. Things where you just gotta see where it splits. I think I can make that work though with a shovel. Just have to do a little bit of carving on it. Here, I might even split it some more here. Let's go ahead and try that. Yeah, that's a little bit, getting a little bit more. Getting there. This is a very, very hard wood. A little bit more hacking on it and carving. I think that's going to give me something that I can work with. That'll move dirt. Starting to split again right there, so to fix that I'm just going to take and put a constrictor knot, some jute twine right there, and that'll hold that. We'll see. I think that gives me something I can move a little bit of dirt here with. That's the whole objective. And as you can see in the front of my tarp here, I built a kind of like a blockage so that I can't be seen from the other side of the valley. Idea. Kind of took a bunch of old dead manzanita oak and stood it up. Also, I added a little bungee cord here to keep my tarp a little bit more off the ground and taut there. Let's see how that works. You just made a hook, piece of wood. Yeah, getting ready to get up out of here as soon as this rain quits and make some coffee and a little breakfast and get going. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Tour of the camp in its latest stage. Looking inside here, this would be my head end. Over off to the left right here, I got a little barricade set up, and I'll show you why in a second. So across the valley over there, about 300 yards, there's a trail that runs right along there. And I took a walk over there, and I could kind of see the green during certain parts of the day when the sun would shine on it just right. So what I did is made a little barricade out in the front here, right along there, kind of, and then I hang all my earth-toned, colored clothing out in front, and I got a little sniper veil kind of hanging out there. And I took a walk back over there and took a look, and you can't see it unless you're just really pegged in on it, know where it's at and looking for it. You could see it though from a helicopter or airplane, but I'm not worried about that in this location. There's the bike over there. Take you over here. Took the digging stick that I made here in my hand, and I dug out a little platform right here, a little one right here, and I took the dirt from that and moved it up in there to level out my bedding area a little bit, because I was having problems mainly at the foot end. I was sliding just a tad, which is no bueno. You up inside there, and this would be my foot end. Way back there is some stuff off my mountain bike, a couple bags, some books, a little thing of water. Back up in there. And out here I got my cooking area. You know, I got a little rock I can set some things on, a little platform, another one here, another one there. A little alcohol stove here. 3 tent stakes stuck in the ground that I use for a stand. And I got a little rock right here I can sit on. Keep in mind this whole thing, this whole campsite sitting on a hill running about that angle right there. And you're watching Patrick's Bushcraft. One drop. If you like what you see here at Patrick's Bushcraft, be sure and subscribe. Follow me along on the journeys. Good night.